And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming in and tapping with us here on the Doing All Right. We're doing fine, and I know this because I asked Bryan backstage, and he said he's doing all right. So that's cool. Got a little bit of work for y'all today. We're going to talk about a couple players that we talked about on the draft show today. We talked about wide receivers today on the draft show. And as we was talking about wide receivers, Bryan, just looking on my board, compared to like edge, we ain't really watched a whole bunch of wide receivers. You know what I mean? Like we probably got like 12, 15 edges on the board. We may have 6 or 7 receivers. So maybe the next couple assignments here, we'll just add some wide receivers to that list and work with that. But Bryan told me before we got going, he said, man, Voch, did you hear about that little coaching stuff going on?
Yeah, man, a lot going on. So thank you, Voch. Appreciate that. Man, I did 5 hours of radio today. And I felt like 4 hours of the radio show, I was on the phone, texting, calling, during breaks, whatever. This thing kind of went a lot of different directions and just kind of trying to put some pieces together, potentially what was going on, how things were shaking out. It appears that Stephen and Jerry Jr. very interested in Brian Schottenheimer. Dak Prescott, very interested in Brian Schottenheimer. Jerry Jones making his calls, wanting to talk to Pete Carroll to talk. And, with Jerry, we all know this. Jerry likes to reach out and visit with people. Hey, well, tell me something about Brian Schottenheimer. Tell me something about Brian Schottenheimer. That's Jerry trying to kind of do his due diligence. And so he picks up the phone. He calls up Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll basically saying, hey, wait a minute. If you notice, Jerry, I'm up for jobs too, I'm out here. Yeah. You got a job, and so, Jerry and Stephen and Jerry Jr. and others get into a discussion about Pete Carroll. And so now all of a sudden, Pete Carroll's in the mix. It's very much like Jerry Jones when they drafted Zach Martin. We all saw it unfold in front of our eyes in draft room camp. Yeah. When Jason Garrett stands up there, Will McClay stands up there, Stephen Jones stands up there. Jerry is going to be the one that's going to say, no, are we really going to do this? Do we really want Brian Schottenheimer? Okay, well, tell me why we're going to want. So now you get a Pete Carroll call or conversation now in the mix with discussion, and here the brothers, the family members are trying to push Shotty through.
Yeah.
And I'm just hearing some whispers that if Dak was asked, it was Kellen Moore or Shotty, and it appears that Dak Prescott chose Shotty on this one.
Bryan, do you think that we're wrong about this Schottenheimer thing? Like, we are listening to people say, well, Schottenheimer seems to be the favorite for head coach. And everybody seems to kind of be down about that because it's not the sexy name. Like, it's not the Ben Johnson or the Aaron Glenn's or whatnot, right? Do you think that we may be missing something with Schottenheimer to where they may love him to pieces, the quarterback and a couple of people in the front office, but we just missing something?
Yeah. This is where I believe I said this to you the other night, my brother, that if you're a fan of Dak Prescott, they're trying to help Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, they're going to Dak Prescott to ask him how he would feel about the situation. If you're a fan of Dak Prescott, to me, this hire is about trying to help Dak Prescott. And so I look at it as, if you're trying to help the quarterback and the quarterback feels that way and the front office feels that way, good. They're going to go get their guy, but if you don't like Dak Prescott and you think he's one of the reasons why this franchise has not been able to have any success or playoff success or, anything, he's only been a part of 9 years of the 30 years that this franchise has struggled in getting into a championship game. If you're against Dak Prescott, then you're gonna not be happy. you're not going to be happy with this hire, And so, me personally, I had a couple of guys. I really love Mike Zimmer. I just wonder for him if I could just have a moment about Mike Zimmer.
Please.
And talking to Mike, he's none of these coaching hires interest him. Mike Zimmer's no longer going to be here unless something drastically changes. But talking to Mike Zimmer, he and I were going at chopping it up today a little bit, just going back and forth. I said, is there any of these hires that interest you? And he says, not really. So you're probably going to be looking at a new defensive coordinator unless Jerry Jones goes in there and says, well, Zim, we need you. We got to do this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But right now, Mike Zimmer, as we speak on the 23rd of January, is not interested in because Mike Zimmer, and rightfully so, has had some success in the National Football League. And he's worked for 6 of the 10 coaches that have ever coached for the Dallas Cowboys, head coaches. And he gets passed over each time. And he can't figure out why, And so, me personally, I think Mike Zimmer, I love Mike. Mike, would he be the best hire? Well, but at least he has a track record.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to get Mike Zimmer out of that. What I do feel like though is I think Friday you're going to have your coach. That's in all likelihood, unless something happens where Rick Gosselin calls Jerry Jones at midnight and tells him you need to draft DeMarcus Ware. And Jerry then the next morning wakes up and says, we're going to draft DeMarcus Ware. Yeah. But, I think you're going to get your Schottenheimer. But if you're a fan of Dak Prescott, they're trying to help your guy. And then Dak is the one that's helping them choose this guy. So he's, that's, and I'm not saying, oh, that's on him. No, that's who he would prefer. And there's some things about Kellen Moore though, too.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore's still in the playoffs. Can Kellen Moore get together a staff? How far behind are they going to be in the hiring process?
Sure.
There's some things you have to honestly think about with Kellen Moore. If they win on Sunday, you're not going to have an opportunity to talk to Kellen Moore for 2 weeks. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I know. That's how I think the day went for the Dallas Cowboys.
Bryan, I want to teach you something. I love it when I can cross our communities and age gaps or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use this outside of this podcast here, somebody's going to love you for it. Do you know what dirty macking is?
No. Okay. It's okay. I've heard it.
Yeah.
And I heard it was described because there was something that came up between, I think it was Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan.
Damn. Okay.
And it was described as dirty macking, if I'm right.
Bryan, if me and you have similar, like there's this one woman that me and you like, right?
Okay.
I go to her behind your back and I go, this effing guy Broaddus, he ain't no good. He just, let me tell you something, it's much better over here with me. That's dirty macking, right?
Okay. It happened today. That's what I'm saying.
Do you think over the long period of this administration, right? Do you think Mike McCarthy calling nonsense plays, running upfield and turning around, no real diversity in the offense, starting off the season slow? You think Schottenheimer walked up to Dak and was like, man, if I was in charge of this thing, man, I do you right. I'll give you some control if we was in charge of this thing. And do you think please, do you think that's why Dak is vouching for Schottenheimer right now?
I think there's and Jason Garrett did it to Wade Phillips, right?
You're damn right he did.
There's a history of that. If I could explain real quick what happened, how I learned about dirty macking today.
Please.
Scottie Pippen tried to pick up another man's girlfriend.
Yes, sir.
As he went to the men's room, he was yelling at her, do you really want to be with this guy?
That's dirty macking. Yep.
Okay. I learned what dirty macking was. It was actually today. is what I learned.
Well, damn, that's
How
right.
about that?
That's right on par
How about
with,
that?
with what we trying to do.
I learned it. We did a story about Scottie Pippen trying to pick up, and the guy recorded it.
Yeah. Damn.
And Scottie Pippen was hammered. But anyway, so yeah, there's always going to be a time where I remember it with Larry Lacewell, my boss at the time. And when Sean Payton got that big extension to stay in Dallas, like over $1 million at the time to be an assistant, to be assistant head coach and all that. All the coaches, all the Parcells coaches started filing into Larry Lacewell's office and like, well, what the hell's going on here? What's going on? Why is he getting $1 million? And it really upset Bill. Because Bill was thinking like Bill wanted to be able to control his coaches. And in this case, he couldn't control it because Jerry coveted Sean Payton so much that he sacrificed Bill's relationship with the coaches, So it was kind of like, my point is sometimes these, when you get in an organization and you feel like you're, something's going wrong, you walk up to the guy and you say, hey man, listen, I know it's rough out there, bro. If I could help you, I'm going to try and help you. This is what I'm going to do. This, hey, there's always good cop, bad cop guy, And so I saw Andy Reid do it with Brett Favre, like Mike Holmgren would just start yelling at Brett and Andy would go, hey, no, man, we're good. It's Mike. It's me. It's not Brett. It's me, and so sometimes you get, like if things are going a little south, it's a little bit easier probably to walk into Shoddy's office than it is to walk into Mike McCarthy's office or Kellen Moore's office and say, hey man, this is effed up. This is effed up. And there could be a little of that going on right now.
Dirty Mackin' boy. Me and Brian Broaddus just talked about Dirty Mac for like 5 minutes. I can't believe it. I never would have thought this would be a thing. But
I would have had no clue what you're talking about unless Scottie Pippen did it to a guy today. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's way too much out here to be Dirty Mackin', man. You should be better to your fellow man. But anyway, Brian, bro, that's some fantastic insight that you gave us there, and that's something that a lot of people not even like report. Like some of the things you were saying about Zimmer and stuff, people not even reporting on that. So if y'all tap into this
Mike and I are really really close, and Mike and I have been talking all day today, and Mike appreciates the opportunities that he has, and he just can't figure it out. I don't blame him. I think Mike Zimmer deserved an interview for all the things, at least for Mike Zimmer coming back and trying to help you today, when things looked a little bad, he turned things around and, in a positive way. Yeah. Did it amount to more wins? Unfortunately, it didn't. So, I always think the world of Mike Zimmer, always.
Man, Brian Broaddus, boy, I tell you what, man. I love when receivers can make weird catches off platform,
Can I, real quick?
Hell yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Can I run something by you real quick that happened to me on radio today, and I want to get your impression of it or what you would do?
Por favor.
Gavin Dawson, who I work with, Gavin and we all, Zach Wolchuk and Eric Chiafato, Lucius Alexander, all do a show. If you haven't heard, the G-Bag Nation on 105.3 The Fan from 2 to 7, Monday through Friday. Dawson brought up something today about the grading scale, that he couldn't, the grading scale needs to be changed if a running back happens to be in the first round on your grading scale. Say, for example, you're stacking your players. And Ashton Genty is the 4th best player on your board. Dawson says, I don't agree with your grading scale or your stack if, in fact, you have a running back higher than other positions. If you have 15 grades, the running back should be no higher than 16 on that list. He should be 16 on back. He should never be in the top 15 of your stack. He says your grading scale needs to be adjusted if you have a running back in the top 15. What are your thoughts on that?
We do adjust it. It's already adjusted. It takes a really good running back to be fourth on your board overall. Yeah. Like, for example, Bryan, if this was like the 80s, Caleb Johnson would be a first round grade.
Sure.
If this was the 80s, but it's not. So with that context, we take Caleb Johnson.
He's a young man from Iowa, by the way.
Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa. So with the context of new football and how we treat running backs, we put Caleb Johnson in the second round because that's how running back is. Somebody said this. Somebody was like, "Yo, Voch, you love." I said, "Voch, why you got Quinshon Judkins, the running back from Ohio State? Why you got him in the fourth? I thought you liked him." I do, but in context of running back, good runners make it to the fourth.
Yeah.
So I've adjusted my board to, okay, I would take this player here. So Ashton Genty, I'm not going to give this umbrella grading system because every player is different. Every player is unique. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So you can't just go, man, I'm not adding running backs to the list until 16 because I'd rather take Ashton Genty than Will Campbell.
Yeah,
I'd rather take Ashton Genty. If you value wide receiver, that's cool. But you don't take Matthew Golden from Texas over Ashton. You just don't. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that Ashton Genty's a first round player, in my opinion, that says a lot about him. Because in real life, if just bump it all up one time. Your second round guys are really your first round grades. Your third round guys are really your second round grades, right? So if so if you have a running back that's in the first round, we don't put running backs there.
Right.
So therefore having them there makes them special. We're saying that Ashton Genty is special. So if he's the fourth player on your board, he deserves to be there. That makes sense?
I agree. No, I agree. He said it in a way, he caught me at the end of a segment. So, I mean, he didn't even ask, but, and I believe Gavin knew how I felt about that I've always, since 1992, I've always believed in giving players their due. Where would you take this guy? Where would you take this guy? Yeah. And then stack them. In what order? And I always tell people out there, as long as in Voch, you're a long time watcher of the draft show, what I always say, don't window dress your board. Don't window dress your board, because that's where you get in trouble. That's where you get, take these guys where you would, put them where you would take them. Yeah. If Ashton Genty is your fourth best player, by God, put him as your fourth best player.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I should have fought. But I didn't. I mean, but he's going against everything in my body that I've ever been taught in how to build boards.
Yeah.
He just says, well, damn, Bryan, if you put that running back up there before 15, it needs to be changed. I don't trust your grading system. Mm. In reality, my grading system, my board stacking, it's not always right. But I felt so confident when the draft was, when we had a 12-round draft and we stacked our board. Yeah. And how confident you feel walking in that room, because what's going to happen is you and I are going to be working together on the draft for 3 days. And Kyle Yeomans is going to say, Voch, tell me who your best player on your board is. And you're going to tell him who your best player on your board is. You know why? Because you did the work to put that guy on that board there. And you believe in your heart, I would take this guy right now. I was taken back because, and then his argument to me would have likely been, it's just a crusty way of operating. You have to adjust to modern football, and listen, there's a lot of people that hate running back in the first round.
But Bryan, but you are adjusting to modern football. That's why.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's why Hampton and Johnson aren't first round picks. Genty's just that good.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying is that, to me, there's take him over a tackle or guard that I might have questions about in the first round at 12.
No.
Take him over a wide receiver that, take him over a corner with a bad knee, take him over a offensive tackle with a bad,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm trying to take the best player. And I said it today on our show, the healthiest player, the best player, the healthiest player, and the guy with the best character. That's what I'm trying. In the first round, I'm trying to get the best guy that fits all the criteria I'm looking for. Yeah. So when he said that, I just go, I can't do this. I mean, I can't because for my life has been trained in scouting of put the players where you would take them. Put them. If you have a discussion in that war room that's the fourth best player, by God, if you get a chance, they did it with CeeDee Lamb. They didn't need CeeDee Lamb at 17, but he was the sixth best player on their board.
Yeah.
Jason Witten, the time when Jason Witten was on the board in 2003, and Jerry Jones, we had a first round grade on him, and Jerry looked at Bill Parcells and said, we got to take this guy now, right?
Yeah.
And Jerry's like, and Bill's like, yeah, we take him now. But you had a first round grade on him. See, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you eliminate mistakes by having the players where you would take them.
Sure.
You should never care. Like when people say, well, they took him a little high. I've said it before, and that's a little high for me.
Yeah.
But in actuality, to that team that drafted him,
they love
him.
Yeah.
They absolutely feel blessed that player that we all thought they took too high is now on their team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Now, we had a wide receiver talk today.
Man, boy, I love when these wide receivers can catch the ball off platform, Bryan Broaddus, man. We talk about these cats.
Right about that. Mm-hmm.
And not just catching the football, but the type of catches that they can make, Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
This Jack, I'm going to have to say his name slow because I don't want to.
Bech.
It's Bech. But
Bech.
I don't want to get us kicked off the draft show because I cuss saying his name too fast.
Mm-hmm.
But Bryan Broaddus, man, he comes off the line of scrimmage with a little bit of creativity, and I like that.
He sure does. Yeah, sure does.
He likes to set up leverage at the top of his routes. You know what I'm saying?
He sure does.
For all the routes that Savion does not run,
mm-hmm.
he'll run them. He'll run them.
Yeah.
He'll run some 9s, some 8s, some wheels,
mm-hmm.
some comeback. He runs them all, Bryan Broaddus.
He does.
Has a great feel for where the sideline is. I think he got some really good body control, Bryan. You know what I mean?
He does.
I think he spots the ball really well in the air, and he's very aggressive when he goes up to get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He may not be the McMillan, right? He may not be the biggest, tallest guy,
mm-hmm.
but I feel like he does have some length, he does have
mm-hmm.
some height, and he does have some size. And he
mm-hmm.
attacks the ball similarly, right? Like McMillan's special how he attacks the ball, right? But I see Josh Bech a lot go up and grab it with two hands.
Yeah.
He don't really let the ball get into his frame, very much, Bryan. Sometimes he knows how to protect the DB, get the DB away from the ball. He'll still reach, and he'll grab it and protect the football. I say, And with his size, I don't want to call him a bona fide yak guy because I want to save that designation for some of these other guys. But because of his size, he may be a little harder to take down and tackle for some of these corners that may not want to tackle him.
Yeah.
I look at Jack Bech, Bryan Broaddus.
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed with him. I also think he has a really good nose for tight window catches and like red zone stuff.
Yeah. He is one of the best contested catchers in the country.
I got him in the second round, and I actually had to move some wide receivers around. So I still got Savion 1. I got Trey Harris 2. And I think that's where it gets tough for me. Trey Harris and Josh Bech. But I've moved Ayo Minor down.
Ayo Minor, yeah.
He's my second round guy now, considering I got Golden in the first. But Bech is third behind Williams and Harris for me right now, Bryan. And I might move him above Harris. I like him a lot.
Yeah, Golden, Williams, Manure, Bech. Those are my second round guys right now.
So you got Harris in third?
I got Harris in the third, top of the third. And we're going to talk about Royals too tonight.
You know what, Bryan? I want to wait to see what Harris runs. And I think
if he goes faster than what I think he might do, there might be some adjustments there but man, the tape tells me a lot. The kid is these second round receivers are all really good players. Yeah. They are really, if you somehow got blessed to pick one of them at 44, you'd be happy with any one of these kids. Your order, my order, you'd be happy with any one of these kids.
Sure.
I will say this, and I know a lot about Jack Bech, because he was a transfer from LSU, and God, I miss him so much. I wish he would have stayed at LSU. His freshman year, he was the leading receiver for LSU. I mean, this kid, he wore number 80. He was super tough. He's played really, really well for TCU this year. You can, as you mentioned, you could put him in a lot of places. He can go wide. He can play in the slot. He can be a factor in either spot. He knows how to attack the middle of the field. He's a solid route runner. He can get his head around. He can find the ball. He tracks it down the field. He gets separation with his stride. We've got some of these 6'2" guys that we've talked about here the last couple of nights that are able more to get it with stride than they are with quickness and things like that. But you could see him running by, defenders, but I wouldn't call him a blazer by any means. I would not. But he runs fast enough. And he's best when the ball's in the air. He has got a knack for high pointing balls or fighting the defender. This guy, when he's never fully covered. I mean, he really is never fully covered. And he's a threat to make contested catches. 65% of his catches are contested. So that tells you maybe something a little bit about the speed, or maybe the lack of. But he plays well in traffic. He's got toughness, strength. He can make yards after the catch because he pushes tacklers away. I mean, he knows how to push downfield in the routes, kind of gets himself, but he gets away with it. So I think this kid's really, really, really good. Like I say, I have him in the second round. I like the fact the run after catch. I like how he high points balls. I know the metrics told me he forced 17 missed tackles this season. I just wish the kid would have stayed at LSU. My God. I mean, think about him and Neighbors and others, but that's this kid. I mean, he's 6'2", he's 217 pounds, and he is going to make somebody a badass wide receiver because of how tough he is. It's not going to run out of sight, but he will make every contested catch they throw his direction.
So you would take him at 44?
But yeah. Now, again, I like Manure. I like him. I'm anticipating Golden being gone.
Yeah.
I think you got a shot at Williams. I think you're going to have a shot at Manure. I think you're going to have a shot at Bech. I don't know. I've got, Harris there. I think Harris, he might go, but on my board, I think the three receivers there in the second at 44 could be Williams, Manure, and Bech. That would be my thought, unless you've got Golden in the first round. So
yes, sir.
I think you're right about Golden, and I'm probably not. I'm not there yet. But I'll tell you what, though, if he were taken at 12, wouldn't surprise me. The kid's a hell of a football player. I just remember the one mock draft we did, Voch, where we were working on it and we got wiped out by the wide receivers in the first.
Yeah,
remember
sure.
those guys were gone?
And it was Jackson
CBS
and Jigba.
mock.
Jackson and Jigba.
Yeah.
This year. I got you.
This mock draft. Yeah. And like it was a CBS mock draft that you and I did earlier.
Yeah.
And we got wiped out at wide receiver.
And
then it was like, it was kind of tough. But I'll tell you what, the Mayor from Stanford, I really, really like him just because he played with such a terrible quarterback and he kept making plays. And he's a tough kid. Bech, either one of those kids, man, it's just flip
Bryan,
a coin. Flip a coin for me.
How good is TCU's quarterback?
See,
let me just read this. I just looked it up because I be doing stuff backstage, Bryan.
Yeah.
So both of these guys, right? They had very close numbers in receptions.
Manure and Bech.
Ellick had 63 receptions and Bech had 62. Okay. Manure had 831 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bech had 1,034 and 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So Bech produced a little more on the same number
run
of
after catch though too. Yeah.
The Yak will do it. The Yak will do it. Bryan, I think I want to go back and watch Ellick Manure just to make sure I got him. Manure's last year's campaign was much better. 62 catches, 1,013 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's a little closer, but there was a little drop off this year for whatever reason. I think I want to rewatch Manure with the context of I have Josh Bech now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like Josh Bech, man. I think I like him a lot.
You know
Bryan.
what, bro? If you walked into the room and started fighting for Josh Bech over Manure, I would fight you, but I bet you the room would go with you.
Yeah,
I bet you the room would go with you. And we tried to do that a little today on the draft show, talking about because we were trying to think about. And if you hadn't watched the draft show, please, after you get done with us here, please turn it on while you're working out tomorrow, getting your walk.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. But we were trying to figure out an X. I asked the room a question about the X receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Bech might be that guy.
Yeah.
Jack Bech might be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong about Bech. There's something about that Stanford kid though, man. And it's nothing personal of Bech leaving LSU to go to TCU because he finished up nicely.
Yeah.
He because I saw him his freshman year make a lot of really nice plays.
Bryan, what do you think about this deep threat kid? This kid that gets behind defenses, this Jalen Royals character from Utah State. Tell us about him.
I'll tell you what, man, this is fun because Utah State at one time they did a really nice job. I mean, they've had some times where they've had some success, and there was a little bit of a down year for them. But Jalen Royals, and I watched him against USC, Boise, and UNLV. This is a good player on a poor team. He is dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's deceptive with his speed. I think he appears bigger guy on tape than how he's measured. They gave him at 6 foot 220 or 6 foot 205, excuse me. But he could be a load to deal with in the open field. This guy's got the ability to take the ball, get up the field. He kind of bullies tacklers along the way. His press coverage, he just runs through it. I mean, just plays with power is what he does.
Yeah.
He's not going to be nifty or quick in the way he plays, but he could be a bull. I mean, He just kind of runs through people. The routes, you kind of see him, the curls, the slants, the crossing routes. He's asked to do a lot because he's kind of their offense. Mm-hmm. Screens, crossers, goes. I've seen him make some incredible plays down the field. He's had moments where he struggled also with some contested catches, though. Not going to remind you of Jack Bech here at all with some of the stuff, but for the most part, I've seen him kind of extend his hands and take the ball in. The last 2 seasons, he's averaged a touchdown a game, 20 games, 21 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So you'll line him up on the outside, but I've seen him share his work on the inside. He had 64 snaps as a slot. So they played him on the outside, played him on the inside. I'm going to tell you who this cat reminds me of, Voch. Mm-hmm. You remember when Jaden Reed came out of Michigan State?
Yes, sir.
He's, Michigan State, Green Bay Packers now.
Yeah.
Go back and read your notes if you got him on Jaden Reed. And it reminds me a lot what Jalen Royals, Utah State, what he could bring.
Because Jaden Reed does the tough running slot thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Like he kind of like he's a run after catch. He was a punt returner. He was a bully. He's physical. He reminds me. I was watching him thinking, man, this is Jaden Reed, Michigan State, 5'11", 187.
Yeah.
I mean, my guy at Utah State's a little bit bigger, but the same type of put the ball in his hands and things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, okay. The questions I have about him, because I could say that some of the contested catch stuff and all that, I've got this group in the third. I've got Harris from Ole Miss, Royals, Utah State, Higgins, Iowa State, and I feel so sorry for Bond here, but I keep dropping Bond down the board.
Yeah.
From Texas.
Well, you got the Miami kid.
I've got the Miami kid. I'm sorry. I got the Miami kid in the third round after Higgins. So I got Miami, then I got Bond. So I've got big and then kind of the little guys in the third round behind those two.
Okay.
Behind the three guys is what I do. I just don't know about, like I say, that Miami kid makes a ton of plays, though. He makes a ton of plays.
Sure does.
Yeah. But, man, Harris makes plays. Yeah. Royals makes plays. Higgins makes plays. You could this receiving crew, you take any one of these guys, I think you'd be happy.
Yeah.
I think you'd be really happy about who you got. If you had to grab one at 44, or trade back a little bit. But like I said, I know that Higgins can't run, right?
Yeah.
Higgins from Iowa State, I know he can't run.
Yeah.
But he makes a ton of damn plays, man. I mean, he makes a ton of plays catching the football.
Bryan, I got Royals at the top of the third for me. And I like the player. I think he's
right.
He'll be a fantastic slot receiver. Like like on the next level slot receiver, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And let him run a lot of those deep crossers and let him run around and let people chase him around.
Yeah.
Let him do all that middle of the field stuff.
Yeah.
I think he can play some Z for you here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how he gets off the line of scrimmage. And then and then once he gets the football, I don't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a powerful guy, Bryan. He doesn't look like a powerful guy, but he does thump the hell. I was watching he was versus Boise, I believe. And those Boise kids, they couldn't run with him, and once he got behind him, they couldn't tackle him. They couldn't hold on to him.
Couldn't tackle him. Yeah.
I got him over Restrepo and Higgins. I got him over those guys. So he's my first third round guy. But I got Harris in the second. So that's where me and you different. But he's at the top of my board.
Restrepo,
that kid run routes, get open, and don't drop passes, Bryan. Come on now.
You know what? I know. And I have my blind spots. You know that.
He just little.
You know that. He little. That's the problem with it. Old crusty scout man does, Yeah. If you're 5'11" and higher as a wide receiver, for me, I'm kind of in love with you.
Yeah, for sure. Bryan, I wanted to show you something on my big board here. Let me see if I've already released it, so I ain't got to keep it from nobody. I wanted to show you what I've been working on. I've never done this before, and you told me, "Hey, man, make a stack, Voch." So I've been working.
Oh, there you go.
I've been working on my stack here. So this is my stack of my first round guys, and then I'll stack my second round. I got it'll tell me at the bottom here. I got 36 second round grades right now.
There you go.
So I kind of want to keep watching a little bit of film just in case I run into a guy that'll just fit into the second round. But I'm creating my first real tangible top 50. And I might do 100. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll go round by round, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. You put out 100, and it's funny if you do this for your folks. And we'll put both at the end of it. We'll both put our boards up on your site, and let people see. And people like to follow along.
Sure.
They like to follow your stack. And I would love for us on the draft show, and maybe I need to bring this up, that we create a stack, or we have a show with a stack. Or we make our own stack, We take a week, and if we have to do 2 shows and do stacks, and just kind of get who we would have next, and that kind of thing. I think it's kind of fun too. It's a challenge to stack your board.
Yeah.
Because you go through it and you're like, oh, wait a minute, no, this guy. And then you got to go back. Yeah.
Something I think would be great content. But boy, the Cowboys, Eagles are gonna have to pay me some money, man. You know what I'm saying? Pay me some more money for this idea, man. I think we should do. I'll tell you after the show. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it right here. It'll be something we
can save it for you and I and Will Steele. Is that something?
Yes. Yes. I'm saving it for. I'm saving this for nothing. Yeah, I ain't saying that. Yeah, bro, I'm working on this stack, man. And we do a great job on .com. That's it. Hey, I was on .com earlier. Me and look, Tommy Yards came to hit you upside the head today. He said, "Bryan, I watched these games, Bryan. Right? Hit your ass
Did
back.
you notice he said that? I'm proud of him. Hey, you know what? My man, like he did. I kicked him in the ass the other day, and I'm like, bro, you got to tell me what games you're watching.
He smacked you upside the head today. Yeah,
hey, you know what? My young man is getting better at it.
I'll never let you talk to me like this, man. Come on, I'll never let you talk. I'm gonna fight you, Bryan. Come on, man. I can't wait till we have our real loud one.
We keep talking about this. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Watch what happens when Wolchuk hosts. That's coming up.
That's coming up soon.
Kyle does a fine job, but watch when Wolchuk hosts. There's going to be some. There's going to I think Aisha might be filling in one of those days too. Aisha might jump on there with us too. So that she'll knock us around. We'll knock her around. It'll be fun. We'll have a good old time.
Fights all over the place, man. But hey, chat, I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Why don't y'all go in the comments and let us know what y'all think of Jack Bech and Jalen Royals. Bryan, get your notepad, please, sir. Got some players for you.
Notepad.
Got some players for you.
What do I got for a Friday night homework assignment? Fridays for tomorrow. Who do I got?
We're looking at an edge, Jordan Burch from Oregon.
Oregon guy.
Senior Bowl character. Another Senior Bowl character, offensive tackle Blake Miller from Clemson. Another Senior Bowl character, Brian Broaddus said, "Man, Voch, we haven't looked at no centers, man. Let's look at let's look at Jonah Monheim, Monheim from USC. He's going to be a Senior Bowl guy. Also, there's a trend here. And there's this one name that was floating around. I'm not sure if he's a Senior Bowl guy, but he's a safety, and I've been seeing the name a lot. Andrew Mukuba from Texas. Andrew Mukuba.
Mukuba? Is it Mukuba?
Mukuba, something like that. Yeah.
Is that okay? Andrew, I got him. He's Texas. Mukuba from Texas. I think that's right.
I've been seeing some good things about him, and he's at the top of this board. I've just been avoiding safety because that's who I am. But we got to get some more safeties involved, and we got to watch some of these linebackers so I can fill out this board here, Bryan. So those are your 4 guys.
Burch, Miller, Monahan, and Mukuba. Right?
Yep.
Mukuba. I think that's how you say it. All right. Tomorrow we reconvene and talk about it. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. 100%. And for the rest of y'all hooligans, man, y'all make sure you have your homework here on time tomorrow, okay? Y'all be sure to follow me on VOCHLOMBARD. I will try and get paid on Twitter, all right? And that's BRYN Broaddus on social medias. Y'all hold it down for the dose. Wasn't peace. Until next time. Crown.